Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Through the Fire. I am your host, Ryan Wickline, and today we're joined by a very special guest. He is the motivational firewood guy, Steve Gamlin. How you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing great, Ryan. Thanks so much for having me, and I'm looking forward to sharing our conversation.
Me too. I mean, I love I did a little deep dive into some research on what you do. I'm like, man, this guy is kind of fascinating.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a long journey, and I'm very glad I took a lot of notes along the way so I can deliver to do what I do the way that I do it. So I'm very encouraged by that. Thank you.
So the number one question the audience is probably wondering, who is Steve Gamlin?
Steve Gamlin is a 57-year-old guy, lives in New Hampshire, who, when he was 11 years old, made a decision that he wanted to become a radio DJ, a stand-up comedian, an author of his own books, and a teacher of people, but not in a classroom. And for better or for worse, over the last 40 plus years, I've managed to do all of these things. In between, crashed and burned my life pretty badly in a few spots, but took a lot of notes, learned from each stage and each thing that I did, and it just built me up stronger for the next phase. And these days, all I want to do is speak, coach on visualization, and write articles, books, and be on podcasts all around the world as well, just sharing as much value as I can.
I love it. How did hitting golf balls in a thunderstorm change your life forever?
It's one of my favorites, and it's the one that the most people ask, come on, did that really happen? Answer, yes, in advance. In the early 2000s, as I hit the 10-year mark in my radio career, I was also DJing weddings and corporate events pretty much every weekend. So I worked 15 years worth of hours in 10. And I was in my early to mid 30s at the time and burnt to a crisp. I was married at the time, had been married about 7 years. And in a very short window of time, I just fell apart. I blew up my radio career. I went through a divorce, and at age 34, I was $62,000 in debt and wound up crashing at my dad's house for a while. And I just blew it all to hell. And one day I was out driving around, no idea what I was going to do. All I had was my weekend DJ business for money, and that wasn't doing much at the time. And I drove past this mini golf place, and then I remembered they had a driving range. So for $3, I get a big bucket of golf balls, whack the crap out of them, and just exercise some demons. And a lot of bad self-talk and self-loathing was there at the time too. I was really self-deprecating and just nasty to myself. So I went to the farthest tee box on the property because I'm a horrible golfer and I didn't want to dent anyone's car in the parking lot because I sliced like a madman. And I was underneath this long row of steel-towered power lines. So I'm hitting the towers and they're making like a big bell gong going off. But then all of a sudden, a thunderstorm came ripping through. So it's pouring rain, windy, thunder, lightning. And I'm standing there barefoot in the wet grass, holding the golf club under power lines, smacking the crap out of a bunch of golf balls. And two guys that were near me had just gotten there when the storm started. So I hit my bucket. And when I was done, I hit their buckets because they never came back. So at the end of this hour, and at one point I was even holding the club up, just being sarcastic, and just looked up and swung it in a little circle saying, go ahead. I dare you. Take your best shot. I didn't care. I wasn't mad at God. I was mad at myself for putting my life in such a bad spot. And when I get out to my car and I opened the door, the rain stopped. And those first couple of rays of light started coming through the cracks in the dark clouds. And it just made me smile and laugh. And I just looked up and I said, that was pretty well played. That's kind of cool. And the next day I was on the phone with a brand new life coach I just started working with. And he asked, how was your week? And I said, listen to what this dumbass did yesterday. And I told him, as funny, it was real self-deprecating, but as funny as I can make it sound, I told him the story of that hour. And when he stopped laughing, which if you're a coach, you shouldn't do to your clients when their lives suck. You shouldn't laugh at them. But he said, I got two questions for you. Have you ever thought of being a motivational speaker or a stand-up comedian? I think you'd really enjoy both. Now, he didn't know that those were two of my goals when I was a kid. I hadn't shared that with him yet. I hadn't even thought about it in years. And I said, yeah, but I have no idea how to pursue either one. On his desk was a brochure in the junk mail pile for a local community college that had an intro to stand-up comedy class that started 2 weeks later. And he said, I'll send you the info if you'll go. I said, yep. And then a week after that, I went to my first Toastmasters meeting, which he suggested to just kind of learn the mechanics of speaking. He said, you got the storytelling down. He goes, just go in there and perfect your style. And I wound up staying in stand-up comedy for 7 years, Toastmasters for 8. And within a year of those first couple of steps, I was getting paid, not much, to do comedy and to be a speaker. And here we are.
That's crazy. I mean, that you were led just like that.
Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite stories to share on stage because I still have that golf club.
Do you take it out the golf club with you on stage?
I do. I swing it up over my head and people are like, I'm like, don't worry, we're indoors right now. Nothing's going to happen now. I mean, plus, I don't go messing around out there anymore. And like my late wife, Tina, used to tell me, she goes, God let you off the hook that one time. Don't try it again. I said, every time I hear thunder now, I'm like, oh, God's still laughing.
Why do you think pain and suffering leads so many people to their purpose?
I think it helps kick out a lot of the voices in your head, the what ifs. I mean, so many people like myself, I have all these ideas all the time. My brain is constantly running. But when I'm at the worst, lowest, toughest moments of my life, instead of trying to juggle 20 things, I just reach for this one thing that could help me to get out of it. So it's logically led me to some pretty good decisions instead of wallowing in it. I mean, you can sit there and wallow in your pain and feel bad for yourself and cocoon, saying, I'll figure it out. I'll take care of it. I just want to be left alone. Well, during my lowest moments, whether it's in business or my personal life, I finally decided cocooning is not a good thing for me because at the end of it, you're not going to get a beautiful butterfly. You're going to get a tarp full of sludge. And that's not good. So at my lowest points, I just reach for that one thing. And it's just been consistent that is the one important thing that I was supposed to be doing, what I was meant to be doing, versus just running around ADHD brain like I do half the time, grasping at things. So I respect the tough days and the low days because I think they narrow my view and they actually help me pick the one thing that's most important just to claw my way out of the darkness and out of the ashes again.
Yeah. Why do you believe so many people are missing their purpose?
Because they're too busy listening to motivational speakers tell them what success is all about. You see their videos, and this is what I get when people send me, hey, Steve, I made a vision board. I'm like, go ahead, send it to me. And I laugh because I know I'm probably going to see a Lamborghini, a yacht, a private jet, a mansion, a helicopter, a big honking gold watch, and a bank vault full of gold bars and stacks of cash. Because that's what some motivational speaker told them success was all about. Some influencer. That word makes me throw up in my mouth, by the way. People are blinded by the bling. And they think that their purpose is to get to that. And my team and I, my marketing guy, a couple of years ago, we did a survey of people who set goals or made vision boards or used some sort of, success formula. If they felt like they hadn't succeeded, why? 60% of people admitted because they didn't take any actions or enough actions. 47% of people said they were not sure what they really wanted. And that is a significant problem. And I think that is a very important reason why people are chasing the wrong things. They're listening to what other people say success is for them. And when I finally figured it out 20 plus years ago, when I became a speaker, why I wasn't happy prior to that, because I was hustling and grinding like everybody said I was supposed to do. What did that do? Dug me into the ground, well below ground. I mean, I say I was only buried up to my knees, but I was head first. So
Yeah.
it was because I didn't know what I really wanted at the time. And once I figured it out, boy, that set me off on a nice, steady road towards success. And I took a lot of notes along the way.
Yeah, it's hard to get to a destination if you don't know what where that destination is, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. You wind up being like those first generation Roomba vacuums before they get really smart with the technology. It would just kind of go in a direction, it would bump into something and go, "Oh, sorry," and it would just go in another direction.
Yeah.
It would just go somewhere else, and that's what a lot of people do. "Well, I wanna get in shape." They go to the gym for a couple workouts, they way overdo it, and then they're
Yeah.
like, "Well, maybe I don't wanna be as ripped as that guy on the cover of the magazine. Maybe I'll just and they don't do anything. My workout goals, my fitness, physical health goals for 2026, be lean and flexible. That's it. I don't need to be jacked. I don't need to be ripped. I've got to stay flexible. I'm almost 60 years old. I'll be 58 in February. That's kind of important to me because I'm approaching the age of those old commercials where people say I've fallen and I can't get up. I want to be able to get back up. That's important to me. Lean and flexible, that means the world to me. Every day when I do work out, which is at least 5 times a week for the past 4.5 years, I say, just lean and flexible. Matter of fact, I got a sign right above the mat where I do my stretching every morning, and it says "Stretch yourself." And I point at it every single day in the same motion, and it makes me smile and fires me up to work out towards my goals.
Yeah. So knowing knowing what you want and just building a plan to get there is how you stay, on task.
Yeah, and knowing why I want it. That's an important one. You ask people, "Why do you want that?" I don't know, because I saw somebody else that had it. I'm like, "Oh, okay." That's a start, but why do you really want it? And for me, it goes back to when I became a speaker. A good friend of mine, dear friend, I love him for this. He said, "Why do you want to be a speaker?" I said, "Because I want to help people." And he said, "Why?" And I just flipped the words. I go, "Because people need help." He goes, "No, why do you really want to be a speaker?" And it took like 17 times him asking me. And then I remembered I got into radio because a friend of mine asked me why I'd never done it. And I was 24 years old at the time, broken, depressed, living on my grandfather's couch, no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And my friend said, "You'd be really good at it because you know more about music than any of us. And you always play the music at parties and stuff. Give it a shot." So I did. The summer of 92. I borrowed $4,000 from my grandfather, whose couch I was living on. And I went to broadcast school down near Boston. And in the fall, I went to my friend's house. Hadn't seen him in a couple months. He asked, "Where you been?" I said, "Radio school." He goes, "Did you get a job?" I said, "Got an internship. Doesn't pay anything, but it was a rock station we grew up listening to." And he was so proud. And of course, I got the "I told you so" speech. But 3 weeks later, he passed away. He was only 23 years old. He had had cancer twice before and went into remission. And this time it came back real quick and just got him. And so years later, when this other friend asked, "Why'd you become a speaker?" That finally came out. And I had tears coming out of my eyes, rolling down my face. And I said, "I had a friend who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And now I want to be on a stage being that friend for other people." He said, "Good. Don't ever forget that." It took 17 times, but I know my why. And if you woke me up at 3 in the morning and I answered the phone and you said, "Steve, why are you a speaker?" I would tell you that exact story because I relive it. I feel that every single time. I've got a responsibility to be that friend for anybody who's in my audience. That includes your listeners and viewers right now as well. So I'm here to add as much value as I can.
Yeah. I see this all the time when people set goals. I mean, I know the people I work with when we set our goals, like, why do you want it? And some people don't know why. Why do you think that is? That they don't know why they deserve it or why they even want it?
They just don't have an emotional connection to it. And they don't see enough failure or pain in not getting it. And some people are very nonchalant about their goals. They make the resolutions. And I got a whole stage story on this. They write down the year and they say, "I want to be happy, I want to be healthy, I want to be have more money." And then they tuck it away. And that week between Christmas and New Year's, when they're cleaning up after the holidays, and they see that folded piece of paper holding the lamp from rocking, and it's got like salsa stains on it and the pizza guy's number, and they pull it out and they go, "Oh yeah, these were my goals for the year." And they didn't pursue or be able to qualify or quantify any of them. So what do? They changed the year. They write 2026 on it now. And they're like, great, I'm all set. And they don't know why they want it. They're just like kind of drifting along wherever the river takes them. And my thing is, whether you're in a tube, a raft, a canoe, or a rowboat, start flexing those muscles, man, and paddle yourself to somewhere you want to be. And then when you hit that beach or the other side or whatever, realize that you did the work to get there and how much pain you would have if you'd stayed back in that other part. So set a destination, understand why you want to be there, make it as emotionally connected as possible. And one of the things I ask people in this, the first question is normal. What do your goals look like? And they can kind of tell me even vaguely. I said, great. What do they feel like? What do they sound like? What do they taste like? What do they smell like? And then they start laughing and getting weird. I said, tell me a story about what your life's going to be like when all these things happen. Tell me a story that connects all of your senses. Somebody say, well, I want a brand new truck. Great. You know what new truck smell is like as an experience? They go, yeah. Go to a dealership, find a truck, sit in it, take your picture in it, close your eyes, inhale. And if you can, take a test drive and tell the salesperson, just give me like a minute or so. I just want to feel this. And if you got a buddy with you or the sales guy, have that person videotape you with your hands on the wheel, looking out that windshield over the hood of your dream truck. Feel the interior, feel the materials. Like I said, smell that new car smell. If you can, audio record the sound of that engine when you're revving it up and make that either an alarm on your phone or a ringtone for somebody. And you listen to that every morning and you tap back into all those emotions. And when you know your why and you connect with all those emotions, you make it really real. You're going to do more work and make more effort to get there. You're going to stop drifting so much.
Yeah. One thing I also found out too with when you're finding out your why is, for me personally, I usually have to make it about somebody else other than myself, like, because I always tell people I'm human, so I'll give myself an out, we give ourselves that out as like, but if you make it for somebody else, because I'm doing it for these guys, like for my family or for the people who believed me when I didn't believe in myself, then I'm not going to quit when things get tough.
Yeah. Yeah. And that can apply to any area of our lives, really. And I've talked to people who said, oh my God, Steve, I work out at home now, so I'm not at the gym anymore. We moved a little farther away. It's almost a half hour away now. But I was talking to a buddy of mine who said, oh, I was at the gym and I saw this person come in and they weren't comfortable with their body and they were there to get healthier, but they were very skittish to even come in the door. Like he saw this person hesitating at the door. So he opened the door and he said, hey, it's great to see you here today. I saw you here the other day. I am so proud of you. You deserve to just wear a big smile. I see you in here working so hard. And I just wanted to let you know that. And so he would go to the gym and hope he would see that other person so he could cheer that person on. And I used to be the same way. I used to love to high five people on the ellipticals because it was in this long row of them. And I wouldn't actually touch hands with them, but I would high five walking by or thumbs up or something. That used to make me want to go to the gym even more because I could cheer on other people.
Yeah.
And that can apply to anything you do in your life. You can go anywhere and say, look, I just want to impact somebody else's day in a positive way. So I'm going to make sure I'm there on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's some great advice right there. How can companies and individuals benefit from vision boards?
I just shared this actually on a corporate speaking event a couple of weeks ago. And I said, suggested, I said, look, even if we never work together, we don't make vision boards. Here's a suggestion. One of the greatest gifts you can give all of your team members is a little picture frame to put on their desk. And you ask them, what is the most important thing in your life that you want to achieve or accomplish or enjoy in the next year? Put that in the picture frame. And then I encourage the leadership, every time you're walking around through, just pick one or two people and point to the picture and say, what's the story behind that picture? It might be their family and maybe they want to go on a special vacation or something. It might be a boat they want to have to fish on with their kids. it could be anything. It could be the school that they would one day love to send their kids to. But kind of like Ted Lasso said when he was talking about the Walt Whitman quote, if you ever saw the Ted Lasso series when he was playing the dart game against that guy, Rupert, he said, none of those guys who used to pick on me were ever curious about me. So I encourage leaders and even coworkers, get curious about the people you work with. When you see something they're working on or working toward, ask them, hey, what can I do to help you to get there? Hey, what's that all about? Hey, how far are you in your progress? Hey, what's the next step? You want to see the fabric of a business and a culture develop. That's how you do it. It's not a bunch of fancy words on the wall. It's about cheering each other on, being part of each other's lives. Now, not everybody is super open about their private lives. I get that. But you can make enough of an impact by simply caring or just supporting or just point to the picture, give a thumbs up and a smile on the way by and just say, please let me know if I can help you, and do that. So I think that's a great introduction to visualization inside a company.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely has to create a strong culture. I mean, even a great leader, right there,
Yeah.
the person that does that.
Yep. Yep. Oh, one of my favorites ever. I did this with a real estate company here in New Hampshire. This is, probably about 17, 18 years ago. And we're all in the room. I did an on-site event with them. And this one person had a picture of Hawaii. And I asked, do you want to go on a vacation in Hawaii? And she said, oh, no, there's a half marathon that runs up the side of a volcano, and I would love to do that. Somebody across the room said, oh, my God. And they named the island and the volcano. They said, oh, I did that like 10 years ago. And all of a sudden, you see these, I go, guess who's going out to lunch together tomorrow? And all of a sudden, these two people, they did not know that about each other prior to that moment. And all of a sudden, they're over there talking like they've known each other forever and been best buddies. And they're talking about that other woman's experience. And she gave her some tips and pointers of how to make it happen. And that, I mean, if it was all those years ago and here I am, I'm reliving. I close my eyes, I can see that room. I know exactly where I was. And it was a beautiful thing to see when they started
Yeah.
to know about each other.
Yeah. Because, like you said, I mean, people aren't going to follow you because we all have our own goals in life.
Yeah.
Not going to follow somebody unless they know they truly care.
Yeah. Yeah. Even just cheering on or giving a thumbs up or saying, oh my gosh, that's great. Hey, you can do that. I believe in you. Something that simple. A little bit of, I love being a cheerleader for people. I love doing drive-bys, even in the grocery store, you see somebody setting up a display beautifully and just say, look, I want to take a picture of this because you just did an awesome job. Me, I worked at Grocery Aisle one time. I said, that was back when cans didn't stack. I said, I would have been picking those cans up 10 times by now. Good job. You see a little pride in them.
Yeah.
For being cheered on. They're not making a ton of money, but boy, when somebody notices or praises them, you can see they get a little taller. You can see the difference that makes. I love doing that.
Yeah. So, what are some of your tips for creating a vision board?
Sit down with pen and paper first. Matter of fact, the way I teach in my programs, there are 10 steps. You don't gather pictures till step 7. So put down the magazines and stop Googling Lamborghinis. Start with pen and paper and understand the biggest thing. And I suggest this for everybody when they start visualizing. Don't just go for the material things and the money. There's a tool that I use. It's a pretty common tool in personal development. It's called the life wheel, and it's got all these different parts of life. Now, the one I have, I've tweaked a bit for the way I teach it. It has 8 spokes on it. It's your physical health, your emotional well-being. Imagine that, setting a goal for the emotions you want to feel on a daily basis. Your closest relationships, your core values that guide all your thoughts, words, and actions. It's kind of like your moral code. Your faith, if that's an important part of your life, your connection to the world in real ways. And didn't that take a beating a couple of years ago during the pandemic? We had record levels of depression, anxiety, addiction, and all those bad things because people missed connecting. and then your career and your money. And I encourage people to set just one goal per category and make it a 1-year goal. If you have something that's longer term, 20-year goal, whatever, that's fine. Tell me a year's progress, what it would be and why you want each one. And all of a sudden, you're going to start to realize that when you improve one area of your life, it can actually impact all the others. For example, if you choose to improve your physical health, you get enough sleep at night, you eat better foods, you stop doing the bad stuff, and you work out consistently. When you sleep at night, you get better quality sleep. When you get better quality sleep, you wake up with more energy and focus. When you do that and you go to work, you get more done more efficiently. If you can work more efficiently, sometimes you can make more money. When you make more money, you can buy back a little time and enjoy some freedom with your closest relationships. And if you do all this, you connect really well with people. You're experiencing more positive emotions on a regular basis. And if you do it by the guidelines of your moral code, your core values, and the teachings of your faith, you never have to look over your shoulder. So just by taking care of your physical health, you've just impacted all 7 other areas of your life and brought your whole life upward. So understand they're all working together 24/7. So wouldn't it be a good idea to pay attention and to set some goals?
How much do you see people fail at something like in their goals, in their goal setting, because they focus only on one area and not, like you said, the whole wheel?
Yeah. It's it's what I did from my mid-20s to my mid-30s in radio. Hustle and grind, hustle and grind, hustle and grind. It was just working all the time. Wasn't even necessarily making a ton of money. I was doing okay, but I just worked and worked and worked and worked and worked. I ignored my health. I survived on fast food for most of those 10 years, so that wasn't good. I was out at the bars a couple of nights a week drinking because we had radio station promotions, and of course, we were kind of, in a way, I consider it locally famous because people bought us drinks all the time. So that wasn't a good thing to do. I was not getting enough sleep, just total anxiety and burnout. And although my moral, my ethics were always good. I never cheated people or screwed people over. I tried to be a very, above board person. God, the exhaustion and the frustration and the lack of communication in my first marriage, because I was always just so tired. I didn't want to deal with stuff. I just kept not bringing it up. And it festered and it festered and it all finally blew up. So if people don't understand, and that's why the hustle and grind mindset bothers me so much, because I see people in their 20s repeating every mistake I made. And they say, when I'm 50 or 60, I'll be able to retire and it'll be great. And I ask them, even in their mid-20s, go, you married? They go, yeah. I go, you won't be. You're going to do this. You tell me you're going to do 80 to 100 hours a week and grind it out and make $1 million next year. Good luck. Because you're going to use all that money trying to repair the damage you do to your life. You get divorced, you're going to lose half of it. And then you're going to be spending a whole bunch of money later on if you don't take care of your health right now, and it's going to be expensive.
Yeah. Why did you create a T-shirt that says "Friends don't let friends attend vision board parties"?
Because every once in a while, I would have somebody say, well, Steve, I wanted to invest in your program, but I'm going to go to a vision party for $25 and get cheese and crackers and ginger ale and glitter and glue sticks and magazines and scissors and all that. And I say, well, how much pre-work are you going to put into it? Oh, we all just show up and they have magazines there and we kind of look through and find our pictures. And I said, you're robbing yourself of where all the necessary work happens. Now, could something happen? Of course. What's the old saying about everyone, a blind squirrel finds an acorn every now and then by accident. But you're not doing the work at those vision board parties. I always just say, wine, cheese, crackers, glitter, glue sticks, and scissors may not be the best way. You got to sit somewhere by yourself. I encourage people to get away from everything electronic. Put pen to paper, because that actually uses both halves of your brain when you're actually physically writing stuff out.
Yeah.
Write out your goals. Write out why you want them. Write them out for every area of the life wheel. and then figure out, okay, what would that look like? And then add all your other emotions to it and senses to it. So to just go to a vision board party for $25 and just slap a bunch of stuff on a board, to me, you're robbing yourself of some amazing potential.
Yeah, because you have really no connection at all to the things you're putting, the pictures you're putting in there, most likely.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's no rhyme or reason. You're just slapping them on a board. My boards and the way I teach it, I tell people, hey, look, figure out what's the most important area of your life. Now, for me, it was always my relationship with my Tina, with my wife. We were at the center of every vision board. Even before we reconnected in real life and fell in love, I was building our relationship on my vision boards. Exactly what I wanted in a relationship. You know, I'm a super hopeless, helpless, romantic guy. So I had pictures of a couple walking on the beach, holding hands, standing at the railing of a ship at sunset with a glass of champagne, laughing in a kitchen, making dinner together. I had all that stuff. And other people just find like a supermodel or some totally jacked guy and they go, there's my dream partner. Well, good luck. Good luck with that, because everything that I put on my vision board, we made happen and then some. And even right up until she passed away last December, we were still living and breathing my vision in hers for our relationship. We were together. We were in love 6,386 days, 17 and a half years. And they were the best 6,386 days of my life.
Nice. What are three tools you use to help people to take their lives to the next level?
The first one is a combo. It's pen and paper, and then your heart and your mind. I think are three are just the most important tools, because you've got to get all this stuff out from inside you of what you really want. And not enough people do that. They skip right to the scissors and the magazines and they go, oh, that looks nice. I'll make that my goal. And they don't even know what they really want. And if you're, if you grew up in the 90s, like the Spice Girls, what you really, really want. I mean, they wrote a whole song about it. What do you really, really want? And I ask people that. I said, what do you really want? And they'll show me a picture. I go, all right, what about that do you really want? Oh, it's shiny. Okay. And there's a lot of things that are shiny. And then we'll kind of go through it and I'll ask them some more questions. And they'll go, oh, yeah, I really don't want that. Oh, I kind of want this. And then I'll ask them to describe that. And then I'll say, if you could have just seen your face light up when you said that. And that's just the early stages. I said, get a pen and paper and write it down. Let your heart, your mind just go wild on a sheet of paper and start to describe it and what your life's going to be like with it. Those are just the greatest tools that you can use that not enough people are using because they want instant success and instant results. Doesn't work that way.
No. I mean, how many people have you seen and worked with that got that instantaneous results?
Not too many. It's like the people that say, oh, if I could win the lottery, I'd be happy. You ever watch those lottery shows? Like here's the name of one, How the Lottery Ruined My Life.
Yeah.
Because they got the money, but they didn't acclimate to become the person who could be responsible with the money. And their relationships fall apart and they get a lot of times into addiction, depression, and all of these things happen because they didn't become the type of person who would be able to handle it and appreciate it and respect it and be able to live and breathe comfortably with that identity. And that's why so many people fall apart.
Yeah. When I talk with people about going to achieve goals and when we set them, I'm like, you got really have to understand that it's about becoming a different version of you in pursuit of it. Because if you were already that person, you'd already have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%. And that's one of the first things I say to people is it's not just vision boards aren't just what you want to get. It's who you want to become.
Yeah.
And that's so critical. And so many people, boy, if they're not comfortable being that, they fall right apart, and they actually self-sabotage. You get the imposter voice in you, and people still ask me now, they go, "Hey, Steve, do you ever have the imposter voice?" I said, "Yeah." "How long has it been since it talked?" I'm like, "What time is it?" I deal with it every day.
Yeah. I said it's a lot of calming of the mind at times.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's moments every single day where that little voice will start to doubt me, and I just give it the finger and a big smile and just keep going.
Yeah. How important is gratitude and positive self-talk in pursuit of your vision and goals?
It's everything. And so many people feel lost. And the worst question, if you ever watch The Secret and familiar with law of attraction and all that, and a lot of people teach it in a very woo-woo way. My style is called blue collar woo. Show you the tools, roll up our sleeves, let's get to work, and let's take all the woo-woo out of this. If you're stuck and you're feeling lost and your phoenix hasn't risen out of the ashes yet, so you've burned off all your tail feathers and you're sitting in failure right now. Here's what I encourage people to do. I'll ask them, what was the best conversation you had with somebody yesterday? What was the coolest thing you saw yesterday? What did you witness? What did you hear that made you happy? What did you watch a video that made you laugh or made you think or made you feel a positive emotion? Write that down. Write back to pen to paper. I know I sound like a broken record on this. Write it down. And then tomorrow, ask yourself that same question. I've been writing in my gratitude journal for 14 and a half years. I write 3 moments per day, and I don't broad brush anything. Some people say, "Oh, I'm grateful for my house, my spouse, and my job." Great. And I see them a month later. "What are you grateful for?" "Steve, I told you, my house, my spouse, and my job." I'm like, if you're just going to say the same thing every day, why don't you go carve it in a potato and get an ink stamp and just do this every day? I'm like, what about your house was your favorite thing? "Oh, well, we put the patio furniture out on the deck this weekend. And we had our first barbecue of the spring." I'm like, dude, look at your face. You're grateful for that. So it's not just the house. It's all these little moments in your house. It's not your spouse. It's the greatest moments you had with that person. It's not your job. It's what your job allows you to do. Maybe you're not super passionate about your job, but what does that paycheck allow you to do? "Oh, well, we bought a fishing boat. So me and my sons are going out fishing this summer." Be grateful for that stuff. Because it's, if you're in the abyss right now or in the ashes, what you're grateful for is one little brick that you can put one foot on and balance until you create another one the next day. You got something for both feet to stand on solidly. And the more gratitude that you stack up, the better. And the more kind things, I say gratitude and kindness go together all the time. The more plus signs you can leave trailing behind you every day, leaving as many situations as you can better than you find them, or they're going to lead you to a better place and a better outlook. And you're going to find yourself not wanting to be around minus sign people who are just constantly creating drama and chaos and complaining. And worst thing people can say is, "Oh my God, what else can go wrong in my life?"
Yeah.
You want to make the law of attraction giggle and the universe giggle and then drop more turds on you? Go out into the world every day with that attitude. What else can possibly go wrong? Because it's going to show up.
Yep. Or the why me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Jack Canfield refers to those people as the ain't it awful people. They all hang out at the bar, and one guy goes, "My life stinks. This happened to me today." And somebody else holds their beer up and go, "You think your life is bad? Listen to mine." It's like a toilet that just flushes itself. And I don't want to be anywhere near that because I don't want to be sucked down with the current because I know where it's going and it's not going to smell good there. I
Yeah.
hang out with positive people who cheer other people on and celebrate each other.
Yeah. And a lot of having that positivity and like a positive mindset comes from what we allow in. So being around just negative people all the time is going to make you negative.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Cause they leave a trail behind them and doesn't smell too good. I mean, there are crowds of people in circles I used to run in. Basically, when you hang out with them, it's like running around barefoot and blindfolded in the backyard of somebody who owns about 17 dogs. You're just going to keep stepping in it and it's going to follow you home. So I just choose positive. And that doesn't mean I'm a rainbows and unicorn guy, but I'm a realist. And I believe there's actually more good than bad in the world, but the bad just makes so damn much noise. And it's the lowest common denominator people who hang out there. They're not people with dreams. They're people with doubts. And they're people that just complain about everything. I mean, I'm here if any of those people want to reach out, but you're not going to bring that energy to me. I'm going to share the positive, and you're either going to grow with me or go away from me. It's your choice.
Yeah. Where did the phrase motivational firewood come from?
That was very early on when I became a speaker. And somebody at Toastmasters had said, hey, the National Speakers Association has a chapter in New England, and they meet down near Boston once a month. You should go down there and see what it's all about. So I did. And I got to the registration table, and I see all these beautiful lanyards and printed name badges with little ribbons and stars all over them. And me as a visitor, they go, here's the hello, my name is, and here's a Sharpie, write your name. So I wrote Steve and slapped it on my chest. And this gentleman at the table said, hey, Steve, so great to have you here with us visiting. What sets you apart as a speaker? What's unique about you? And I said, well, I want to help people. He says, Steve, we all want to help people. What makes you different? And I just blathered on a couple of things for a few minutes. And he kept saying, he goes, yeah, but what makes you unique? And I finally just threw my hands up and I said, look, Don, I said, if people are paying to come hear me speak, it means they have a spark of something in their heart, but they don't know how to get there. And if I share a tip, a tactic, a story, or a lesson, and it helps them to think of an action to take so they can create a fire, it's kind of like I gave him a piece of motivational firewood. And he snapped his fingers and he pointed at me. He says, now that's unique and different. He goes, the coolest part was the way your face just lit up when you said that. He said, do you know anything about trademarks? I said, absolutely not. He said, well, go research it. He goes, I think that's something really unique. And his name is Don Saracen. I've never forgotten that conversation. That was around 2005. And I've owned the trademark on it ever since.
Nice. That's crazy how you just came up with it from this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like the person who asked, why do you want to be a speaker? Boy, it's like playing volleyball with somebody. You just keep hitting it. You hit it over the net thinking you're going to win the point and they smack it back and you go, well, I better hit it back over. But at the end of the volley, when we've reached that really cool thing, and I do this with clients all the time, one of us will spike the ball, but the best part is we both win. And we both won that one, just like I won, or we both won when that other dear friend, Mike Roberts, asked me, why did you become a speaker? That was a
Yeah.
17 hit volley, and we spiked it, and I've never forgotten that.
Nice. You found true love after you rebuilt your own life. How important was it for you to rebuild yourself first?
It was about 3.5 years of work, because when my first marriage ended, I mean, I was just shattered. But I knew I only wanted to fall in love, real love, one more time in my life. I was in my mid to late 30s at the time. And I said, all right, if I want to be in this dream relationship, I got to change some things about myself, meaning I was never a person who engaged if there was conflict. I avoided conflict like the plague, and all those little tiny things that could have been resolved in my first marriage, differences of opinion or whatever. I just didn't bring them up, and it just festered and festered. And finally, for both of us, because we're kind of both like that, it just exploded at the end. And we just said, we're done. And that was it. So I wanted to be more open and honest in communication. I wanted to be not just a workaholic all the time and everything was work, work, work. I wanted to be able to enjoy time. And that's when I started to formulate those first pictures that I put on my vision board of my dream relationship of couples just loving to hold hands and snuggle together and cuddle next to each other and enjoy things like making dinner together. And I spent like 3.5 years doing that. And then when Tina re-entered my life, about 10 days after I literally wrote in my journal in early June of 2007, I am ready to fall in love. Well, the universe kind of showed up about 10 days later because I got an email from someone named Tina, and I almost deleted it because I thought it was just junk mail. And then I went back and opened it, and it was a girl I'd gone to high school with that I hadn't seen or spoken to in 21 years. And her email said, "Hey, I live in Florida now. I saw your name online and we should stay in touch." And I'm thinking, well, it's been 21 years. How intentional are we going to be about staying in touch? So I emailed back. She emailed me her phone number. 3 days later, I called. First words out of her mouth that I hear in 21 years. It's about time you call. And I started laughing and I go, oh my gosh. And I remembered I'd had a crush on Tina in high school, but never had the guts to ask her out. She had no social media footprint, and she would not send me a picture of herself. So for the next 4 weeks of phone calls, emails, and texting, I started to remember I'd had a crush on her and I had feelings for her again. And about a month after that, she sent me a message and asked, "Can I tell you something if you promise not to freak out?" And I said, "Sure. Here's how I felt about you in high school. Here's how I felt when I saw your name online. Here's how I felt when you answered my email. Here's how I felt when I heard your voice." And she typed 143. And I did a quick Google search. 143 is text for I love you. 1 letter, 4 letters, 3 letters. And I texted back, "I love you too." And I didn't see her for another month after that. Still no picture. So we spent 2 months in the summer of 2007 falling in love from 1,350 miles away with our hearts open and our eyes closed. Well, she knew what I looked like because I'm all over the place, but we fell in love that way. And it was the greatest way to actually become and create the relationship that I had designed, because the second I saw her, I fell in love all over again. And we never stopped holding hands the whole time we were together. It was just amazing.
That's an amazing story. What advice would you give to someone going through a divorce or breakup and waiting for love again?
Don't just wait. Put yourself in the right place, in the right mindset, and kind of do a bit of what I did. You don't have to go as in depth, but ask yourself, what would I do differently? What would I want to do differently, or how would I want to be different in my next relationship? What's the next? One of my mentors, the late great Lonnie Robinson, used to say this. He would say, "Bro, what is the next best version of you? Like, what's the next step? What's the next thing you're going to do?" And don't say things like, "Well, I want to be in a relationship with somebody who won't cheat on me." Keep it positive, please. I want to fall in love with somebody who is loyal, who is kind. Another suggestion I make for people in their relationships, for future relationships, understand what your love language is. So many people have no idea what their love language is. And you can just Google, there's so many free resources. What is my love language? There's quizzes and studies and survey and all these things out there to do it. Mine is snuggling, cuddling, little notes and cards, time together in special moments. I was very lucky. Tina's was too. And we spent 17 and a half years not only knowing each other's love language, but speaking it fluently on a regular basis. And after she passed, I was going through her desk in her office because I had to look for everything. I found all the notes I had left for her over the years, the little sticky notes on her desk. I found every card I had ever given her. She kept everything because it meant so much to her. And so I took 41 of the sticky notes and I made a collage, and they're under glass in a frame hanging on the wall in her office now, to always remind me that knowing your love language, and whoever your dream partner is, knowing theirs and treating them and communicating with them according to theirs, not just yours, and expecting them to know. Do that, and you're going to increase the odds that your next relationship is going to be really good. But the number one thing is allow yourself to heal first from a breakup or divorce or even being widowed. I see people in the grief chat groups. My partner died 2 months ago. Is it too early to date? If you feel you've healed and can do so in a healthy way, there's no rules. I said, but for me, I'm coming up on a year and I have no desire to be in a relationship with anyone right now. And if ever I do, it's only because I've already told Tina, when you think it's okay, you can send somebody, but then she's going to have to come to me in a dream like 14 nights in a row, smack me and go, hey, I sent her. Stop being an idiot. That's the story I tell on stage and people laugh, but it's the truth. I do not right now. I can't even think of being in another relationship because, oh man, what could compare? I literally designed purposefully my dream relationship, and then I got to live it for 17 and a half years. I got what I asked for. I wanted to be in real love one more time. Right now, I'm good. I'm good.
Amazing. What is the greatest gift you can give your future self?
Something you write down today that's great about your life, that you're hopeful for, that you learned about yourself, that you realized some amazing step that you took today, that someday, if you happen to fall in the ashes or you stumble in life a little bit, you can read back and be encouraged by. That it's just the greatest gift you can give to yourself. And I encourage people, again, I'm going to harp on this, pen to paper. I've been keeping those journals 14 and a half years of gratitude journals. I can look back actually at my handwriting and tell you the mood I was in that day by my writing. If I can't read it, I was very anxious or very stressed. But if it's nice and flowing and happy looking script that's easily, legible, I can tell you I was in a pretty good place that day. And some people say, well, Steve, I don't have time for this gratitude stuff. So I timed my process one morning, and I do it in journals or notebooks. And I write down the date and I write the words great stuff. And I write 1, 2, 3. And in less than a line each, I describe my favorite 3 moments from the previous day because I do my exercises in the morning. I timed it. It took me 38 seconds. You got time to give your future self even just one amazing moment from today. A conversation you had with somebody you saw, the most gorgeous sunrise ever. The time you made the most amazing burgers on the grill and everybody loved them. Write that down because someday that moment is going to salvage your day. So that's the greatest gift you can give to your future self, something you write down and make permanent today.
Nice. How can people get a hold of you?
Pretty easy. You can find my website, which there's a new one on the way, but this URL still will take you to where it is currently, stevegamlinspeaker.com. And Gamlin is Gamlin. And I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn primarily as far as social media. So you can just look me up by name, Steve Gamlin, Gamlin.
Okay. And I'll drop all that in the show notes for everybody too.
Thank you.
Is there anything we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
No, this has been a blast. Seriously. This was like one of those games of volleyball back and forth. And I hope that there are some pieces of motivational firewood in there that can, somebody who's got just that spark in their heart, and maybe didn't believe in themselves enough. I hope that between the two of us, we've shared, something they can do, or a way to honor themselves, or an energy to steer clear of if they're kind of overwhelmed by it. So I hope this conversation has helped a lot of people. I've really enjoyed it, and I appreciate being here.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on here. Okay, final question.
Yep.
What is one piece of advice you'd like to leave our listeners with about overcoming adversity?
I'm going to take it from one of my books, which was actually written by a little dog named Super Teddy. It was called Bust Out of Your Crate, Super Teddy's Top 20 Tips for People to Be as Happy as Dogs. And it's the one that helps people to get through adversity. Wake up every day and wag yourself happy, meaning first thing in the morning, Don't watch the news. Don't listen to talk radio on your way to work. Put something positive in your mind, in your heart, in your stomach. Choose good foods for breakfast. Choose healthy items to eat to start your day. If you love to laugh first thing in the morning, have a little list of YouTube videos that make you laugh every time and play those while you're getting ready for your day. If your faith is an important part of your life, read a couple pages from whatever your good book is. Or if you just love to just dance around, first thing I do in the morning is I hit Sirius XM app on my phone and I find some good upbeat, usually classic rock, because, I'm of that age. It's just some good classic rock. It gets me grooving. I get up at 5:05 a.m. Monday through Friday, and I work out every morning at that time. And I started off with some really good music to get me rocking. So wake up every day and wag yourself happy on purpose with purpose.
I love it. Great advice. Well, Steve, thank you for coming on and sharing your insight and everything in the vision boards and visualization.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This was a blast. And I'm going to give you the ultimate one-word compliment. This was effortless. And I mean that in the best way possible.
I appreciate it. Well, guys, that's going to be all the time we have here today. Remember, the only way to get what you want is to go through the fire.
Absolutely.